Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you are well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too. Let's crack on with today's first story. Much love guys. Now today's first story comes from a throwaway account from the relationship advice subreddit. And it says, my 31 male, wife 29 female, recently ran into her ex-boyfriend from high school and it's making me insecure. For context, my wife and I have known each other since middle school. I was in the grade above her. We lived in the same part of a smallish town and our families went to the same church. So it's safe to say we're always bumping into each other growing up. We ran in parallel circles, but we never really shared the same group of friends. During my sophomore and junior year of high school, we would talk sometimes. I would drive her home every once in a while, and I could tell that she had a small crush on me, but I mostly ignored it. During her junior and my senior year, she started dating the ex this post is about. He was pretty much the opposite of what anyone would have expected her to date at that point, and her personality did a complete 180 pretty soon after they started dating. She stopped hanging out with her old friends, became more outspoken, and ended up skipping her junior prom. I left for college on the other side of the country and came back the next summer to find out that he had broken up with her a couple of weeks before graduation and skipped town after, leaving her devastated. I bumped into her at the local ice cream parlor where she was working over the summer for some extra money for college, and we hung out almost every day after that. She never really talked about her ex, and I figured she was mostly over him. About 2 weeks after we first started hanging out, we made out for the first time in the backseat of my car. It ended with her crying and apologizing because she wasn't over her ex. She said that she was still in love with him and didn't think she would ever get over him. At that point, I realized that I was already falling for her and agreed to just be friends. We spent the entire summer together, with me slowly falling in love with her. Our colleges ended up being pretty close to each other, so we'd hang out pretty often. We also spent Thanksgiving together. I was pretty sure we'd end up together when we went back that winter, but she got a letter from him explaining everything but with no return address, causing her to spiral again. We ended up getting together the next summer and got married almost 3 years ago. It was going really well until she ran to get milk about 3 weeks ago and bumped into him completely out of the blue, across the country from our hometown in our neighborhood. Apparently, he got his life together after leaving his deadbeat dad, went to college and is now a journalist. My wife currently stays at home with our 6-month-old while I work a pretty time-intensive job. She's been spending a lot of time with him lately and I don't know what to do. Every time she mentions him or things they did, I can't help but feel extremely jealous and insecure, like she still prefers him to me. From whatever little she has told me about their relationship, I know he's the complete opposite of me, and that's what attracted her to him. What should I do? Edit, I'd like to add that 1, the child is definitely mine. She was conceived during the lockdown and neither of us were really leaving the house without the other. 2, the ex-boyfriend showing up was definitely a coincidence. A very specific one, but very plausible given the circumstances. 3, a lot of you seem to be under the impression that my wife is hiding this from me. She is not. Everything I know about them is because she told me. I've also met the ex a couple of times, although not for very long. A commenter says to OP, have you talked to her about that? This will end very quickly, very badly for you, especially since she's already spending lots of time with him. During your relationship, she gave you every reason to believe that she isn't over him, so the thoughts that you have on your mind right now have a reason to be there. Have you ever been invited to hang out with him too, or is she spending time with him alone? Where do they meet? In public or in secluded, private places? Do you know what they are talking about? How is she acting with her phone? Do you have access to it? Could you ask her to take a look at the conversations they have? OP says they mostly go for walks with baby and lunch every once in a while. He's been over a couple of times, I think. I don't really know what they're talking about, but they've always had a lot of common interests. She's always been very private with her phone, before we ever got together, and even with her siblings, parents, or friends. I definitely don't think she's cheating on me though. Another commenter says, the only real advice that I can give you is to let her in on your thoughts. Explain to her the situation from your perspective like you did in your post and try to make her understand where you are coming from. That this whole setup makes you feel uncomfortable is normal, and if you want to change that, then she needs to know what is going on inside of you. So sit her down when the baby is asleep, explain your situation to her and then let her speak. The one thing that you should do before you talk to her is to think about what she can actually do to reassure you. What is an acceptable outcome for you, and which one is a no-go? OP says, that's the bit I'm dreading though. I really don't want to have to talk to her about this. I also don't want to control what she does. She'd definitely see the guy less if I asked her to, but that's just never been the dynamic we share. And there was lots of commenters talking on this one that if you're feeling insecure in any way, you need to talk to your partner, because otherwise it's just going to end badly in the end, isn't it? And honestly, right or wrong, I don't know. I would feel insecure in that situation as well. Absolutely, I know I would. Not automatically because I'd think the wife was cheating or whatever, but because this isn't just some random ex from years ago. This is the guy that she admitted she was still in love with, while OP was falling for her, and the guy who left her heartbroken, who she missed and all this kind of stuff. If that guy suddenly appeared in the street and wife starts spending a lot of time with him, I'd be absolutely lying if I said I wouldn't feel insecure about that, because I know I would. I think the only way forward is for OP to talk to his wife about it and see what she says. Because me or OP being insecure in this situation isn't any sort of proof of wrongdoing or anything like that, is it? But OP came back in 1 month later with an update and says, it's been a while since I made the post, but I figured I'd update you guys on this anyway, in case someone was still interested. Ended up burying my feelings again and decided to carry on with my life as if nothing had happened. Talking about it to a couple of people on here had really helped me pull myself together, at least for the time being. I did end up going to the park with her and the friend for a bit once, and sort of watched their dynamic for a bit. Everything seemed normal. She mostly spent time with baby and he was just sort of there, keeping her company. Things had mostly gone back to normal when she called me at work and asked me to come home early. She had never done this before and sounded pretty shaky, so I left almost immediately. I got home to find her having a breakdown in the apartment, while one of her old friends from her old job was there with the baby. Apparently this guy confessed his feelings to her. He said that he'd loved her since they first started seeing each other, but had never felt like he was good enough, and now, because he had made something of himself, he finally felt worthy. He also said that he wasn't planning on saying anything originally, but had decided to because he felt that I was very detached, which was because of my anxiety. He had been offered a really good job abroad, which he was willing to turn down for her. She promptly told him to fuck off, but ended up having a breakdown because she realized that she had essentially lost touch with most of her friends. Didn't really enjoy spending time with the women in her mummy group and had noticed that I was being a bit distant. We had a really long talk that day, and I also showed her the post I'd made as well as some of the chats I'd had with someone here, which had way more context. She was very understanding and called me silly for not just talking to her. I agree. So we've basically decided that I should cut back a bit on my work hours and she's going to try and reconnect with her friends a bit more. Currently we're back in our hometown so we can see our families again and they can meet baby for the first time. Our wife's doing much better and she's already reconnected with a couple of her old friends. I'm so glad that they were able to have that conversation in the end. But what that ex did, I find that absolutely wild. You know, this wasn't just some single guy trying to get with a woman he met recently. He knew she was married. He knew she had a husband and baby. He knew that she had moved on with her life since it all happened. Yet he still decided that his feelings were more important to then dump on her. And then there was a line about how OP seemed detached, so he thought he had a chance. So he was sat back looking for openings or cracks in their marriage where he could basically insert himself and be the better man, if you like. Ugh, it's sickening. But now, I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. Now, our next story comes from the Am I the Arsehole Weddings subreddit from the user Gentle Glowing Soul, who says, Am I the arsehole for saying no when my sister-in-law asked for my husband's nieces and nephews to put on a performance at our wedding? My husband and I are having our ceremony later in the year. My sister-in-law has asked my husband if his nieces and nephews can put on a performance at our wedding. I personally feel like with the way our wedding is planned, having them do some type of performance just doesn't fit in at any point. It's not a traditional wedding and we have changed a lot about the way the ceremony will be performed. Another point is that these are all children. They're all under 10 years old. I feel like this will come across as more talent showy, and I just can't see it happening in any way that's fitting for a wedding. I was also shocked that she'd asked for something like that. She's never asked about our wedding plans. My husband asked for my thoughts privately, and I immediately said no. I expressed that due to his family's history with him, I would not be accommodating to them, probably ever. They have a history of taking advantage of my husband's kindness, especially when it comes to his nieces and nephews. I've been very clear about my boundaries from the beginning. He understands and respects it. He also began drawing his own boundaries, and I'm so proud of him for that. I'm admittedly very guarded, but my immediate gut feeling was that she was asking for this for selfish reasons. I'm not sure why, but this request doesn't sit right with me, especially with a lack of interest in our entire wedding. My husband sees it differently. He thinks it was an innocent request. I'm seeing the overall picture, but he's just considering the request, so it may seem innocent. I would have been fine with it if my husband wanted it, or even the kids. I've asked my best friend, 2 cousins, and my cousin's girlfriend. They all said it was a weird request, however, they might be biased. I just need some outside perspective. Am I the arsehole for saying no? An edit for further context. I tried not to include too many details as people involved use Reddit, but fuck it. She asked for them to perform a dance. They aren't dancers. I asked my husband if they could, and he said they're like a 4 out of 10. This furthered my bewilderment. I don't dictate his boundaries, I just make mine clear. My in-laws are complicated. I've watched them use and take my husband for granted for years. I'll start with his parents. They are racist. They had a terrible reaction when he showed them my photo. They've also used him to support the entire household while allowing his brother to be verbally abusive towards him. He's cut that off and doesn't interact with his brother, who is also racist. His sister, the one who asked, used him as an on-call babysitter for years. My husband would work his 9 to 5 Monday to Friday, only for his sister to drop her kids off on a Friday night and expect him to babysit until whenever. I listened to him vent about this until I sat him down and explained he was allowing it. He's since cut that out completely and only helps his mum with the kids now and then. She's also knowingly made terrible choices in who she procreated with, so she has no help from the father. That is an entire story on its own. My husband has been very open about wanting to cut down contact with his family and not have them too involved in our lives once we close on our home. I would never dictate how we should interact with them. We've both been clear about managing our own families, and he's been very, very open about not tolerating their BS. It's a huge shift from what they're accustomed to, and it's been almost 2 years since he made that change. Another edit that says, a couple of the "you're the arsehole" voters have taken the DMs to message me hateful, vile things. So those people, seek help. Therapy works wonders. My husband and I plan to update when we can, as he's also perplexed by this request and does not want this at all. He's also going to talk to her and let her know he doesn't want it. He's never wanted it, and he was just as baffled by this as I was. I mean, this has already gone far beyond the weird dance request, which by itself was strange enough. And my answer to that is, it's your wedding, you don't want it, I wouldn't want it either. Simple as that, right? But the whole edit where OP talks about the racism and their reaction to your photo changes everything anyway. Weddings are supposed to be celebrations with people, with your loved ones who support your relationship. And after you explain the whole reaction towards your photo, I can't help but wonder why you'd want people like that at your wedding in the first place. They sound awful. But a commenter says to OP, not the arsehole, it's your wedding, so that's reason enough to say no. It's your and your fiance's day, not your sister-in-law's or the kids. I've also never heard of or seen a children's performance at a wedding. Seems odd in every way. Whatever our reasons, just say no, that's not our vibe, but we look forward to seeing your children perform at the appropriate place and time, i.e. their school, dance, etc., recitals. I hope you have a wonderful wedding and marriage. Another commenter says, I think your sister-in-law is trying to take the attention off you and your fiancé on your wedding and to place it on her children. That's not appropriate. Just hang tough and reply a simple no, but be aware that she may go ahead and get the kids to do a performance then anyway. Get you and your fiancé's attendants aware to what might happen and have a plan to shut it down quickly. Another commenter says, nope, no. Just learned all I need about the sister-in-law. That's a guest nightmare. Seriously, don't question yourself and really think what this little performance would be other than a half hour of torture with the hours after of self-congratulatory chatter about it forcing guests to agree. She will whine and pout and probably try to go around you. Stop this, it's not innocent. I dare you to put on one of what must be many recordings of their performances for fiancé and see if he really thinks it's a good idea. Another commenter says, yeah, that's a weird request, but be prepared for her to show up and just shove the kids onto the reception floor. Make sure your band and DJ cut anything like that off immediately. If they bring a boombox, confiscate it the minute it makes an appearance. Have a whole squad of people prepared to look out for a surprise. Commenter replied saying, this happened to me. I was asked, I said no, they did it anyway. Mother-in-law grabbed the mic and nobody stopped it. It was humiliating and I looked visibly uncomfortable in the photos. Terrible memory. This behavior is only symptomatic of a self-centered family who will try to put themselves first for the rest of your married life. I find that mad after people getting told no, they will still do something like that at a wedding of all places. Oh, dearie me. But at some point later, OP does come back in with an update and says, a few people have since asked me to update. Here are the final developments. I did show this post to my husband, and I'll be calling the problematic sister PS. My husband, we are legally married, but decided on having our ceremony and reception later in the year due to my mum undergoing chemo and radiation therapy for a rare type of cancer. Sat down with his nieces and nephews and asked them directly if they were interested in doing a dance. They all said no. The oldest one actually said, that'd be so cringe. He asked if any of them had asked to do a dance or any type of performance at the wedding. They all said no again. Knowing this, my husband felt comfortable saying no as the kids didn't even want this. He broached the topic with sister in the car so it could be discussed privately. He said, hey, about the dance, I've decided on no. Sister started raising her voice asking him why. He said he just didn't want it. She flipped out and started shouting at him. She accused him of not loving her or her kids anymore. He asked her why she would think that. She said because he won't babysit for her and it's hindering her life. My husband just asked if sister didn't think that it was hindering our lives having to be her on-call babysitter and that he had no part in making her kids. Sister screamed at him that he was selfish for not allowing them to do a dance and that not everything is about us. What? Not everything is about us on our own wedding day. She also accused him of playing favorites with regards to me and her kids. She has obviously lost the fucking plot. He told sister that he knew the kids didn't even want to do anything like that this was all about her and her need for attention. He also asked her how he could be playing favorites because I'm literally his wife. She was full on screaming, frothing at the mouth, raging at him about how he was ruining her life, that he was selfish and a terrible uncle. He just told her to pull over and he got out of the car. He took an Uber back to his cousin's house and ended up telling his parents what happened with sister. His parents instantly started reasoning with him to make peace with his sister because she's just like that. He just said no and he walked away from them. When he told me what happened, I was stunned because what the fuck is she on? I adore his nieces and nephews, but his sister is fucking unhinged. She blocked me on WhatsApp, like I even care. She also deleted his contact but didn't block him so he wouldn't see her profile picture or statuses. She then made sure he overheard her saying this to her cousin. This woman is 40 years old. It's so embarrassing. My husband at that point fully saw the situation from my perspective. This was never an innocent ask. She eventually calmed down, unblocked us and tried to start communicating with us again. We were grey rocking her. Our wedding day came and it was perfect. His other sister was so happy for us and she complimented everything. She was very impressed with how well done and well thought out our wedding was. She thanked me for getting toys, books and having an activity area for all the kids. She said she knew it was a woman's touch. That was a really nice moment. Sister was extremely reserved most of the day. She did not speak to us at all, but she proceeded to wail like a banshee during the ceremony. She even went to the washroom in the middle of it because she was so overwhelmed by her emotions. We literally did not pay her any mind. We couldn't see anything else but each other in that moment. The kids were very happy. They danced with everyone else and no one else paid any mind to sister either. His parents seemed very happy for us and his father spoke to me privately and said he knows I make his son happy and that's all he wants. His mother was also reserved, but she was exceedingly happy to show off pictures because our wedding lived up to her standards, I guess. We are going to be grey rocking sister without sacrificing the nieces and nephews. We really do love them and care for them. A commenter said to OP, the in-laws sound like they could also do with a bit of grey rocking since they so easily sided with sister. I'm glad it went well. OP says we are also grey rocking them. he checks in with his mum mostly because she had a health scare earlier this year. Although she lost some sympathy when she asked him how much money he spent on my engagement ring. Next, Split quoted a section saying she was full on screaming, frothing at the mouth, raging at him about how he was ruining her life, and then says, since she's still going to be a part of yours lives, we'll have to step it up from Grey rocking her. Wailing in the restroom during the wedding. Sister and your mother-in-law will definitely be a problem in the future, but yay, congratulations on the wedding. Opie says, oh, we know. He said he won't be telling them where we are moving to. Funny enough, his other sister hinted that we should move far away from my in-laws. We're going to be at least 1 hour away. Firstly, I'd just like to say I wish OP's mum all the best with her treatment and recovery, but also I don't think this is going to be the end of the troubles for OP with that family. The wedding wasn't really the issue here, it just showed a much bigger problem. His sister clearly isn't upset about the dance, she was just upset that brother stopped being her unpaid babysitter, chauffeur and everything else in between whenever she demanded it. And we was very close to the line in there, but she's family, when the parents were like, she's just like that. It's usually just code for, we've put up with this behavior, we've enabled this behavior for years now, everyone else has to do exactly the same. So I was kind of left wondering on the back of all of this, is Grey rocking going to be enough? And that's without even going back over the whole racism side of things, which OP mentioned in the first post, which was enough in itself, I thought. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the stories, your love, your support, your time. It always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for being here. Truly, it does mean the world. And I will see you in the next one. Take care and much love.